much too complex, much too complex, too complex, too complex, too complex.
Good afternoon. My name is James K. Holder II. Some of you may know me as Sir James II. I'd like to welcome you back to Not On My Watch. As always, I'd like to ask you to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I want you to retweet this video and repeat this. If you're watching, today is August 28th, 2018, and I am joining you from the steps of the New York Public Library, where it is hot as hell outside, but we are coming to you from New York, and I am joined by the illustrious and notorious Mr. Dane Weeks. Dane, wave at him.
How you doing, everyone? It's my first time with James, so this should be interesting. Everybody has been actually waiting for this for a pretty long time.
Quite some time.
So I say we give the people what they want.
Of course. So I'm in town for a little while, and I always like to tape when I can. If there's and we met up last time for the first time. We had never met before, but we definitely there's a lot of activity going on this scene. Right, but we're gonna muscle through. And so yeah, it was like cool meeting you, cool people. You know, you meet these people online or whatever and form a connection, but you never really get to spend time with folks you connect with on time. And like this is like my homeboy from the whole 2016 fight. So a lot was learned, and you know, we just connected over that whole situation, and we've been cool since. So glad to have you on the show. Make sure to follow him at give me your Twitter.
Mr. Dane 1982, better known as Mr. Weeks, with the black fist.
Nice. And you just celebrated a birthday.
Yes.
Making you old enough to run for president, right?
Yes, but my mentality is not there yet to be running for president. You know,
I was gonna say, okay.
We got to take steps when you're a certain demographic.
So maybe not 2020, but we're talking about 2024, 2028. We're gonna see a Mr. Dane.
I'll probably entertain it like everybody else is entertaining it right now.
Okay, cool.
So I guess if you want to say, I'll probably run for president soon.
if we can consider electing Miranda Hobbs or Stormy Daniels' lawyer, I feel like you got a fair shot at this whole thing.
Basically, if that's the status.
So as I said before, it's the end of August and it's hotter than July. We have 70 days until the midterm elections, and that's a crucial deal. Dealing with what the shit we got going on. We have a rigged system officially. The Supreme Court.
Official rigged system.
The Supreme Court is teetering farther and farther away with this new vote coming up for Kavanaugh. If we can't get that stopped or paused before November, we're gonna have a serious problem with that. But I don't want to really get this podcast rolling without first saying a couple of condolences and RIPs.
Hold on a second. That's that New York noise.
Pause for the cause.
Pause for the cause. The red
so as soon as we bring up the RIPs, then we get a siren. So that was good sound effects from the city. Thank you.
Usher in Aretha here.
Thank you, de Blasio. We got
Cuomo all day.
Oh my God.
De Blasio.
Okay. So we always want to say rest in peace to the Queen of Soul. Not the Queen of Soul music, not the second best to Kelly Clarkson, not the auntie of Nippy, not the glamorous gown couturier commenter of Taylor Swift, but we just want to shout out to Aretha Franklin, who she wasn't laid to rest yet, but there was a viewing of her body today in the casket. I got a glimpse of it with the 6-inch ruby red heels.
She out here looking like Beyonce.
And the slimming fit. So it is good to see that
slimming fit.
Aretha got snatched.
Aretha got snatched. She's
snatched
looking
from beyond the grave
in that casket, in that gold-plated casket. So nothing more fitting for a queen.
So is that a new term now? Laid to rest? Like, is that what we just gonna call it?
I mean,
laid for the guys.
Laid for the guys.
Man, fitting beginning to the end for Aretha. So peace to her. What's one of your favorite Aretha songs?
Daydreaming.
You know what? That's mine too. Like, that's high on my list.
And the only reason why I say Daydreaming because Daydreaming was one of Mary J. Blige's, she remade that song back in the 90s.
Right.
And I didn't find out until later on that Aretha sung the original song. And when I heard the original song, that's when I was just like, okay. Because I'm not really an Aretha fan.
Right.
I mean, I loved her music, but I wasn't really, it wasn't like she wasn't a staple in my household growing up, like the Anita Bakers and the Whitneys and the Janets and the, Whitney Houston and the Patti LaBelle's and Diana Ross and Tina Turner. But she was still a sound in my house.
She was a pretty big role.
She got hits though.
Yeah, she got like lots of hits.
Think, I Ain't Never Loved a Man, You Make Me Feel, Rock Steady.
You know what? I never heard Rock Steady before, like this past week.
Really? Oh,
I've heard it in the background, but I never sat and listened to it.
I love
Rock Steady is
Aretha,
like one of my
but you
favorites.
can't touch. Don't do it.
Oh God! Can we? I'm gonna edit this shit out just so you know.
I love Aretha.
There will be no shading the queen.
I love Aretha, but the way Fantasia sang that song.
Okay,
man.
so who's your first pick on a lineup to honor the queen? Fantasia. Okay, I'm pulling for Lettucey. I think Lettucey can pull something off.
I can see Lettucey.
They probably won't give it to her though.
No, they're not.
And that's why I don't like the situation. Like if TV One does something, they'll call that.
See, I'm not really expecting a tribute and it's sad that I'm about to say this, but BET or TV One, those are stations that I know that's going to be able to contribute, a well-deserving tribute,
a proper
to
tribute,
the Queen of Soul.
Right.
They're not going to pull an MTV and have Madonna ass up there with some damn Wakanda type outfit, looking like shit.
Madonna always fucking up. It's like if you could take Madonna's speeches and just cut the middle.
And I love Madonna, don't get me wrong. But why every time somebody died that's black, she has to be the one to get on MTV stage and speak about them?
When Michael Jackson died, she did this whole, I remember her speech when Michael Jackson died, because I didn't see the one that she did for Aretha. I was like, this is the same speech she gave when Michael Jackson died.
And she turned that Michael Jackson shit into her
own story. And I was like, okay, this is not about you, but they just think, white folks, they just feel like it's like Madonna is like their end all be all in terms of like numbers and shit. Like officially she's like one of the highest performing white acts. So they always give her that sort of first right of refusal on shit. But I'm just like, okay, but she's not relevant to the
Streisand or something. Can you call, like why you always gotta be Madonna though? Like I mess with Babs.
And she'll never learn her lesson. That's my thing about Madonna. It's like you're not trying to grow in the tribute world.
Madonna don't care, and that's one of the reasons why I still love her, because she don't care about nothing.
Okay.
I just don't need her to speak every time somebody black dies.
Right, all right. I'm with it.
You don't seem too fond of material.
No. Okay. I'm a fan of Madonna's music.
Okay.
Like I listen to the shit like Frozen. What was that album? Ray of Light. Ray of Light was a great album. I like the work she did with black producers, especially. What's the name of that album? Bedtime Stories.
Bedtime Stories.
Shit, yeah. Amazing album. Even what's the song with Hung Up on it? The album with that. Well, she has some hits on there.
I don't know too many Madonna songs, just her singles.
I like her music, right? So I like her music. Like I listen to her albums, but at the same time, and I respect what she's done for the culture. But really, she's done the same shit that Lady Gaga has done. She's amplified other cultures.
Grace Jones.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. It's like Grace Jones doesn't get the credit that Madonna gets, but why? Because all Madonna did was came around after Grace Jones, took her producers. She didn't took some of the songs too.
Oh yeah.
So I'm just like, okay, you were clearly inspired, and you took the notes from Grace Jones, the outfits and all that shit in pieces, and you pieced it together. And then Madonna wanted to throw shade at Lady Gaga, but I'm like, all y'all are taken from LaBelle and Grace Jones and all these major, acts to us that just never got the same platform. But
that's a whole nother story.
Whole nother story. I want to continue on our condolences tour. We got to stay on pace now. It's hot out here.
It's cool enough.
It is cool enough. We got a good shady little spot. right on the steps of the library, the public library. So we're gonna throw shade. We're gonna read a little bit today. Let's talk about John McCain. Now, rest in peace.
Rest in peace
to the
John
senator
McCain.
from Arizona.
He was a soldier.
The POW honorable.
Honorable.
Now that was some dope shit though. He did though when he was in the PO war, prisoner of war, and he wouldn't leave until they released everybody else. They offered him an early release,
Yeah.
and he stayed in. But he was in there for like a very long time.
Was it 4 years?
He was in there for years,
Yeah.
and I didn't realize it wasn't until last year when I was dragging him for something, and I had to read. I was dragging that motherfucker, and I had to read up on like how long he was a POW, and that shit was like, yeah, he was in there from like X date, and then the year changed. I was like, oh, this nigga there was
He did
years.
I think 3-4 years. If I'm not
Shit.
mistaken.
So my level of respect for John McCain changed once I did a little more research on the topic.
I mean, I always kind of knew who John McCain was because I studied him in school. So
Okay.
it was like, I'm not a supporter and I'm not a fan, but I do respect him as a man.
Right.
And that's the only reason why I chose not to critique him the way I would like to.
Right.
Because one, you don't really talk about the dead in a certain way. But because he has character to him.
Right.
So it makes it a little bit more honorable for me not to, just say, rest in peace, you will be missed.
Right.
Without going into details on why I don't think you should have been president. And I get why everybody is, saying,
Palin.
He stood up for President Obama because, from that racist lady calling him a terrorist. But he wouldn't have to defend him from being called a terrorist if his vice president candidate did not start this whole entire ignorance of him being foreign.
Right.
So basically, you was just cleaning up the mess that your own campaign made.
But wait a minute. You saying Sarah Palin started the birther thing? I mean,
somebody within the Republican Party started it, and she tossed the football down the field, all the way down the field.
But wait now, clear this up, because the far left progressives during 2016 told me that Hillary Clinton started the birther.
And they also said that Bernie Sanders didn't vote for the crime bill. So
are we gonna get to 20?
I don't listen to anything they have to say. Half of them was damn near in diapers in 2008.
Right.
So all of a sudden now you know something. Go figure.
Go figure.
Wipe your pampers.
I want to talk about the young. Oh, and there's more to talk about with John McCain. I think there's just a lot of controversy going on now because the president is acting an ass.
And while not to cut you off, but while we on this topic, what's his daughter's name?
Meghan McCain.
Meghan McCain.
Meghan the mess.
After today, seriously, and this is like all serious talk.
Say it.
If you continue to defend this man who disrespected your father time and time and time again, even on his last days, even after he has gone and went on to glory, and you still continue to defend this man, shame on you. I ain't even got nothing else to say. Shame on you. Because you don't represent your father, you don't represent your family, and you don't represent this country continually to defend this man who has disrespected your father, who didn't even want to lower the flag for your father. And I want you to have that same energy you have for Hillary Clinton.
Same energy.
Keep that same energy times 10
Hillary.
for that crooked man that sits in the White House because you feel like he's some sort of leadership.
I feel I'm gonna let her grieve.
No,
I'm gonna let her grieve for the week. I'm gonna give it to her 1 week.
I ain't giving her shit.
I gave McCain the weekend before I started dragging him again on his record. And my thing is, okay, you spent 8 years opposing Obama like he was the damn devil, and now you want that motherfucker to come speak at your funeral.
Right.
That's what I don't understand.
Right.
You can't find, not even that it's got to be a party thing, but I'm just saying you can't find somebody. And then my thing is, folks, you brought up the whole he stopped the woman from calling him an Arab. That was him being honest. It's like, are we really giving motherfuckers credit now?
For being honest?
Brownie points for... So I just, for me, it's like I give credit where it's due, but I'm not giving extra credit for basic credit. You know what I'm saying?
Like, that's human decency. You don't get extra credit for that.
You don't.
I know in the era of Trump, we got to start doing that, but no. That didn't start.
That just proves how low the bar is going. And speaking of just low times, I do want to say a final rest in peace and condolences to the young Jamel Myles. This is the 9-year-old young man from, I want to say Denver, Colorado.
Denver.
Now, apparently, this young man, 9 years old, so what grade is that? Fourth grade? Fourth-ish? Fourth, fifth grade? Elementary school.
Elementary school. Way too young.
Way too young to be getting bullied to death. And it is a tragedy, but there's something to be said about a young man who can at least stand in his own truth at that age.
And be honest, because I'm telling you right now, I wasn't standing at my age at 9 years old telling anybody I'm gay. Not at all.
But I feel like maybe, is that like a defense mechanism, or is that just you don't know yet, or you ain't ready to admit that, or
well, for me, I grew up in a West Indian household.
Okay.
So, I grew up to music saying boom bye bye in a Bati boy head. So for me, I knew I was not going to be telling no one no time soon at that particular point that I was gay.
Gotcha.
No way. But did I know? Definitely. I mean, my mom bought me a Shira doll at 9 years old. At 7 years old. So I knew I was going to, swim that direction.
So did your mom know if she bought you the doll?
You damn right she bought me that doll.
Okay.
Shit. Did my father accept it? Hell no. But better believe it, mom came through.
Right.
Mama came through with that doll.
Mama knew love.
Mama knew love. And the thing is, my mom has always been, my mom has worked on Broadway with doing a hairdresser. She was a hairstylist. So she's did fashion shows and she's did Broadway. So I've always been around the culture.
Got you.
So I've always knew that she would not reject me. But at the same point, I know the history of parents rejecting their kids.
Right.
Growing up, I've seen it. As a counselor, I've seen it. I've counseled kids who've been through it, so I've seen people in my own family get rejected. I've seen my people in my own family get tossed out of the house.
Right.
Like literally. And so, yeah.
I want to take a step back actually, because you mentioned you're a counselor, and I didn't do a proper introduction for those of you who may not know who this is. Why don't you tell the viewers out there a little bit about what you do, how long you've been doing it, what your thing is.
I've been working with kids since I was 14, 13. So that's 23 years of working with kids. I've worked with kids in the residential treatment facility. I've worked in foster care. I've worked in criminal justice, the classroom, the household, the community. I've worked in anywhere that has kids in different demographics, different religion, different class range, from billionaires to, pennies on the dollar. And based on my own upbringing, I felt like, and my own experiences, someone in this universe has prepared me to be a counselor.
Right.
Through all the bullshit that went through in my life. But at the same point, I think it's made me a better counselor. I've counseled, straight, gay, all types of kids. So when I hear stories like the Jamel Myles, it's like, for one, I'm inspired to know that a 9-year-old had that much courage to know who he was and say who he was.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm kind of discouraged to know that when he found that confidence to say what he was, he didn't have that strength to back it up.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's like, he knew how to say it, but he didn't know how to care for it. And the parents around him obviously wasn't paying attention. The people in the school obviously wasn't paying attention. And sometimes we're good at hiding ourselves. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And sometimes, unfortunately, parents can be the greatest parents in the world, and sometimes they still lack that awareness that their kids are going through something, because my mom didn't realize half of the things that happened to me until I finished writing my book, and then she told me.
Right.
And then I showed her the book, and she read it, and then she called me like, yo, I feel like I don't know my son. Huh. You know what I mean? Because, and not in a bad way, it's just that we hide so much of our experiences from our parents that they don't really know who we are until they have a conversation with us as an adult. And we get to fully embrace who we are and tell them who we are without them, prejudging or caring if they judge.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we, like the little boy, I think he knew what he was, but I didn't think he knew the ramifications that came around with being, gay.
Yeah.
The bullying,
I think,
the teasing.
Exactly. It's like he might know what the feelings are, but he doesn't know broader what their culture is. So let me ask you this question. as just someone who works with children and like counsels around multiple topics, is there like one good piece of advice you might give to parents about acceptance, or is it about acceptance, or is it about teaching tolerance? Like, and I hate that term, but what is it? What is one thing or approach you think works that parents can take to take more initiative so that kids can grow up feeling like they can be themselves and don't have that issue?
I mean, what does the Bible say? Love thy child, love thy neighbor. I mean, love your child. You created this person.
Right.
You don't like gay people? Still stop. Tell straight people stop having kids. I mean, seriously, like, you're not going to blame me for something that you created.
Right.
You're not going to hate me for something that you created. You know what I'm saying? And like, for instance, I have, you know, family and friends who they can celebrate their kids, you know, greatness, but then they don't want to celebrate their kids' personal life as far as them being gay. You can shout them, you know, my kids get good grades, my kids are a great athlete, my kids are this, my kids are that, but the second that you find out your kids are gay, is just like, it's a whole different, now I gotta readjust myself. No, you don't gotta readjust yourself. Just continue to be that same prideful parent, who you are, and just make sure that your child is known that you're loved, you're appreciated, and you're protected. I'm not saying that you have to, you know, to be honest, I don't give a fuck if you disagree. Like, that's your child at the end of the day.
Right.
And that's all you need to do. And all you need to do is love that child until they're 18 years old and they're going along their way. But if you hate that child to a point that it dismantles who they are, you're not raising a productive child. You're raising a child that's not productive, who has to learn how to be productive all on his own or all on her own. And that's not an easy task, because I learned being gay on my own.
Gotcha.
Like, I watched shows. I've, you know, had the AOL, you know, I don't know if you just do the AOL chat lines and you learn now what was top, bottom, burst, and all these other, like, these are the things that I didn't have anybody to communicate with. So it was just like, I found out these things on my own.
Okay.
And even when I found out these things on my own, there was nothing to test it to be like, is it true, is it fake? So I had to figure out what was good, what was bad within my own research.
You bring up an interesting topic just about learning and understanding, like, what the mechanics of the situation are. And I actually started reading this book, I Can't Date Jesus. It is by Michael Arsenio Ox. I'm kidding. Michael Arsenault. And this is actually like on a really big tour right now. He is like one of these guys who wrote a book, didn't think it would ever get published. It eventually got published. Now he's on a huge media tour, New York Times bestseller, all kind of stuff. He talks about growing up knowing he was gay as early as 5 years old, and he's black, and he grew up in a really religious household. He grew up in a Catholic household. He talks about like the sort of the rejection of his religion and how that translated to his own family structure and his struggles with that, and then also living in New York and forming a career despite being gay and black, and you know, it's actually a fascinating read. So I'm not done with it yet, but I'm still working on that one. So I just see a lot of parallels between what you're discussing. And so how can people find your book? Is it out? Is it in the process?
No, it's still in editing the process.
Editing. Okay, cool. So we'll, of course, get you the information on how you can check that out.
This guy's going to interview me for the book.
I will interview you for the book. I'll write the foreword, the from word, the back to word, the whatever. I just really, you know, it's funny because like the book thing, I've thought about writing a book like a million times.
You should.
But then I'm just like, I don't know what to share. I don't know if it'll ever get published. I don't know if I want to put in that time and it be stalled in the process because it's a niche story or what. So what's been your experience with that?
I mean, I started my book 2010, January 1st, 2010. February 15th, 2010, I finished my book.
Okay.
And it took me 8 years. I'm still working on it. I'm still tweaking it. I'm still, you know what I mean? Because it's my baby. It's my first book. It's not something that I started out saying, oh, I want to publish a book. Right. I want to be this author. It started out as a therapeutic type of process. Okay. Because I had so much going on inside of me that I just needed an outlet to let go. And then one page turned into 20 pages. 20 pages turned into 30 pages. 30 pages turned into 100. Right. Now it's like about 500. Okay. So it's more of a novel. It's not a, you know, autobiography. Okay. It's a, you know,
That's good.
A fictional book about a character who just happens to represent my lifestyle.
Nice. Okay, I'd actually like that. I definitely keep me posted on.
And then also, it's also about one character experiences from mine and other characteristics that I've experienced as a counselor. Took some of their experiences, combined it all into one character, and produced the story.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but as far as, you know, writing, every client of mine has a book, a black and white composition notebook, because I truly believe writing is the one of the most vital ways to express yourself, because there's no one else around. It's just you and your pen, and whatever's in your mind, you just allow it to flow through your pen. And I get a better response through my clients when they're writing, other than when they're speaking to me vocally, because it's easier to write how you feel other than to say how you feel.
Right.
A lot of people are not, you know, vocally inclined to actually speak how they feel, but they can sure enough write it down in great detail how they feel. So that's how I communicate with my clients.
Okay. I want to, you talk about that book that you wrote it in 2010. Now, my thing is, if I was going to write a book, it would primarily focus around my experience in 2016. And I know that was like a really rough time for a lot of us.
It sure
We're talking about the
was.
2016 presidential election. For me, realizing what this country really was about, which is like primarily bullshit and sexism in addition to racism. What do you, after having time to reflect on it now, what do you think your major takeaway was from that experience? And what's something going forward that you just don't ever want to go through again, maybe?
White people ain't shit.
Oh my God.
Not all.
Not all.
I mean, there's a reason for Trump. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm not going to sugarcoat shit. Like, white people put Trump into office.
Yeah.
They saw a qualified, experienced woman who worked for a qualified, intelligent black man who was endorsed by a qualified, experienced black man, and they thought, oh hell no, there's no way we can have a black educated man who's articulate and then follow that with an articulate, experienced, qualified woman.
Right.
That's my takeaway. White people, don't trust them at all. Never have, and after 2016, I don't think I ever will. And my stepdaddy is white.
Right.
Love him to death. But y'all need to work on yourselves, because at some point y'all have to realize being loud, ignorant, and over the top and wrong all of the time is not an experience or qualification. That is a characteristic, and a characteristic that my black behind cannot have.
Right.
Because before I even open up my mouth, I'm already a loudmouth thug, just based on my skin color.
Right.
You know, so my takeaway from 2016 is we still haven't learned shit, because we're still attacking Hillary Clinton.
I agree.
We're still following Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump as the leaders. I don't know why.
Because they're white men.
Because they're white men, and that goes back to my whole premise of white people ain't shit. Not all, because you know you got to put that not all in there before they swarm you. You know, the ones that, you know, your comments land on their doorstep.
Right.
It's knocking on your doorstep, but you ain't opening the door. You looking out the peephole like, who is there? It's the angry black man letting you know you fucked up 2016.
Fucked up. So speaking of fucking up 2016, we have a whole new cast of characters who are eager and willing to fuck up 2018 and subsequently 2020. So I just kind of want to go through the roll call of the I don't even know where these people fall, because I just have 4 names down here. I got Nixon, aka Miranda Hobbs. I've got Michael Avenatti. I've got aka Stormy Daniels' lawyer. I've got David Hogg, the victim of the Parkland shooting. Right. And then who is, you know, when I found out this motherfucker was a registered independent trying to talk about like he's against the NRA, I was like, you poor little dummy. Like, what are you doing? Because the whole both sides thing, it doesn't go nowhere. And one last person, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So,
aka Sarah Palin on the left. I said
that is the shadiest nickname ever.
She is the Sarah Palin of the left.
She is. And I just feel
And it's
like,
sad because Sarah Palin is more qualified. And that's not saying much. She was governor.
She was a governor. And she could see Russia from her house.
And she could see Russia. Amazing eyes. Amazing eyes. Whoever's her eye doctor, amazing.
Lord have mercy. She had them thick ass Coke bottle glasses on, but she wasn't trying. You remember Sarah Palin was funny as fuck. Because she was bad. She was like a bad white girl though.
Sarah Palin know what she was doing with them skirts.
She had about 3 or 4 bundles in there. Streaks. She was
Sarah
cute.
Palin know what she was doing with them fucking boots that she used to be wearing. Sarah Palin know what she was doing. Like, I'm not about to sit here and not play this game.
She was white girl thick.
I'm not about to sit here and objectify this woman. Don't come up my wall.
I'm saying, I'm talking about
I feel you.
She would then, because she had all the bundles in her head, and then she would throw the little Coke bottle glasses on to try to look smart. But I'm like, why not just take the tracks out?
I mean, she did rely on pushing up her breasts, and McCain's campaign objectified her.
Right, they did. I don't think that was her doing.
So you're not objectifying her. You're just following what McCain's campaign did. They're the one who dressed her up as a pinup doll. I mean, come on, like, it's to the point that porn movies started to mimic her image.
Right.
Why? Because her image is somewhat what we, see on, porn.
Right.
You wait for the lady to take the piece of stick out of her hair and swing it left and right, and she got the sexy t-shirt glasses, and then she got the little push-up bra, and then she got the little mini skirt, and then she got the high fucking boots on. And
okay, are we describing like a Brazzers video at this point?
No, they pinned her up like a doll.
Or this is more YouPorn?
They pinned her up as a doll. They dressed her up to make her more alluring.
And it worked.
To a certain degree.
Well, I'm just saying, okay, do you think him, okay, I feel like John McCain, the best and worst thing he did was pick Sarah Palin. Because I feel like no one would have been talking about his ass at all if he didn't pick her. But I remember, that was the highlight of his poll numbers and shit. Went up so high when he nominated her, and then the more she talked, people realized. And
then the Katie Couric interview was over, and then that killed her whole career.
But see, what's crazy
not to cut you off, but he only picked Sarah Palin is because President Obama didn't pick Hillary Clinton as her vice president. So what he wanted her to do was take all the women that went for Hillary. If President Obama had picked Hillary Clinton as his vice president, Sarah Palin would be nothing.
Too complex, much too complex, too complex, much too complex, too complex, too complex, too complex.